Adam and Eve. Bible stories. Countless ages ago, in a garden of incomparable beauty called Eden, God created an earthly paradise and placed there a unique and special couple, Adam and Eve. Both were modeled with care and divine love, with Adam being the first man, endowed with strength, courage, and wisdom, and Eve, the first woman, embellished with grace, tenderness, and an inquisitive curiosity. In this wonderful garden, they lived in harmony with nature, surrounded by lush vegetation and friendly animals, and enjoyed each other's company, purity, and innocence. But God also gave them a clear and specific mandate. They could delight in everything that Eden had to offer, except for a single tree located in the center of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God warned them that if they ate the fruit of that tree, their destiny would be altered by the consequences. One day, while Adam and Eve were walking together through Eden, a cunning and seductive serpent approached them. Unbeknownst to them, that serpent was Satan, the fallen angel who had been banished from heaven for his rebellion against God. The evil being, eager to corrupt God's most beloved creation, approached Eve and planted the seed of doubt in her mind. "Is it true that you cannot eat from all the trees in Eden?" asked the snake, knowing perfectly well what the answer was. Eve responded that they could eat from all the trees except the one in the center of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because God had warned them that they would die if they did. Then, the serpent, with cunning and lies, persuaded Eve, saying, "You will not die." On the contrary, God knows that the day you eat from that tree, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. The promise of obtaining divine wisdom and supreme knowledge was tempting to Eve, and she finally gave in to temptation. Determined to obtain the knowledge that the serpent promised her, Eve extended her hand and took a juicy apple from the forbidden tree. Sensing the gravity of the moment, she hesitated for a moment, looked at Adam and, in an act of free will, offered him the forbidden fruit. Adam, in turn, knowing that they were disobeying the divine order, but unable to resist the influence of his beloved, took the apple and bit it as well. At that moment, a momentous change occurred. Adam and Eve experienced a completely new understanding of themselves and the world around them. They realized their own nakedness and felt ashamed. Before, in their innocence, they felt no shame, but now they felt vulnerable and aware of their imperfections. When God approached the garden and called Adam and Eve, they hid among the trees. God, omnipotent and omniscient, already knew what had happened, but allowed them to take responsibility for his choice. "Where are you?" God asks, and Adam replied, "I heard your voice in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." God, with love and sadness, asked them if they had eaten from the tree of knowledge, and they admitted their guilt. Adam blamed Eve for offering him her fruit, and Eve blamed the serpent for deceiving her. Although they took responsibility, they could not avoid the consequences of their choice. God, just but merciful, pronounced judgments on each of them. He cursed the serpent, condemned it to crawl in the dust, and put enmity between it and the offspring of her wife. He cursed Eve with labor pains and subjected her to the authority of her husband. And Adam, he cursed with hard work and struggle to obtain sustenance from the land. The most painful of all judgments was the exile from Eden. God told them that they could no longer remain in that paradise, because their disobedience separated them from him and from eternal life in that idyllic place. They must leave Eden and face a world outside of their loving care, where the seasons would bring changes and where they would have to work hard to survive. But God, in his infinite goodness, did not abandon them completely. Before expelling them from Eden, he gave them a promise of redemption. He promised that he would send a Redeemer, a descendant of Eve, who would crush the head of the serpent and bring salvation to all humanity. Thus, Adam and Eve left Eden and began their life outside of paradise. His story became an eternal reminder of the importance of obeying God and resisting the temptations of evil, as well as the consequences of the choices we make in life. Throughout the centuries, the story of Adam and Eve has been passed down from generation to generation as a warning and lesson about responsibility, free will, and divine love. Their lives, marked by the fall and expulsion from Eden, left a legacy that still resonates in the spirituality and morality of humanity, reminding us of the importance of living with integrity, humility, and fidelity to divine commands.